I think it was Adrian Brody. So right after I think he got his Oscar or something. And then a reporter asked him, ki, okay, in preparation for this role in The Pianist, you broke up with your girlfriend. So then his response was pretty cool. His response was that, well, that was not the goal to break up with her. Not even a stepping stone. It was a byproduct of me preparing for my role. That led me to think about like how there is a difference between goals and byproducts, and certain things are good, till they are a byproduct, till they are a simple byproduct, till they are like a consequence of something which is higher than they are themselves. And what we find usually is that when we confuse byproducts to be the goal, that can be very unstable. Can it not be? It can be very unstable. Now, why is that the case? Because, well, one hypothesis I have is that byproduct is something that arises in you, right? So if there is an emotion that is your goal, it is a byproduct because it is something that arises in you. If you go like, okay, I want to have great thoughts, it is something that arises in you. It is a byproduct. So if you have that byproduct as a goal, it's not going to be a very stable life. Why? Well, because byproducts are not stable. For example, emotions, right? You cannot have an emotional state to be a goal. It's not gonna be a good idea because you gotta change a lot of things and it's kind of unpredictable. Like, and I have this thing here in front of me, my laptop, just so I can not improv too much and then like go off the topic. I also have this thing. If I'll use it, I have no idea. I really want to use it. You know, the idea is this: suffering, like modern suffering, especially, is out there not because the consequences are very difficult, but it is also because our approach to life is difficult. Because the thing is this, right? Like, what is your life? Is it something that you put into the world, or is it something that just happens to you? And what we believe in Cage and Bound is that it is something that you put to the world. So it's not about like, because human beings are not passive individuals. Human beings are not passive beings. Things just don't happen to us. We create our things. Okay? Why? Because our perception is active. Our perception is completely run by what purpose do we have. Our perception is a filter that serves a purpose. What purpose? The purpose that we have. So we are not passive beings. And modern suffering is out there because we are chasing the wrong things. We are chasing things which are not goals. They are not like achievable goals. They are not like stable goals, right? And like, what are some examples of this? We would be like, well, okay, happiness is one of those things. Happiness is should not be a goal. Happiness should be a byproduct. You look at confidence, for example, right? Confidence is not a goal. Confidence is a byproduct. You look at like, okay, well, what about resilience? Resilience is a byproduct of you engaging in something, right? It's like you commit to an action and then that action should be the goal, because that action is going to arise certain things inside of you. What is it arising inside of you? Whatever do we call those things? We call those things byproducts. Okay. So in this video, I will try to differentiate between a particular number of byproducts and then try to be like, okay, how can they actually be achieved through some action, right? So we are not focused on like, okay, I want to be happy, and even if you think about the things like when we seek happiness, when we make happiness to be the goal, when we seek happiness, it cannot be there without an action. It's not like wishful thinking. You just sit and you go, I want to feel happy, and then you feel happy. It just doesn't happen that way. You always commit some actions, and then those actions arise certain things inside of you. They can arise happiness then, right? So you can make a list of things that arise happiness in you, engaging that action, and the byproduct is happiness. And that is what the main idea is. That is what the core idea is of this thing. Okay, the first thing would simply be like, why do byproducts trap us? I see this thing like when we are a teenager, we look for identities. We want to understand who we are, and we try to find that through entertainment, or we try to find that through anything that is around us. So we try to look at the mental state of that person. It's like, oh, this person seems very angry. I relate to that because I relate to a part of me. So that's gotta be the thing. So then that anger becomes a goal. That anger becomes, I've got to be stay in this way. Defensive measures, right? And also, we live in a world which is obsessed with the results. It is obsessed with, like, okay, what can you do? Which is a good thing. But it can be very trappy when we do not understand the nature of results. Results are like shadows, okay? Results are shadows of actions. And the way we play with shadows is not by going to a shadow and trying to touch it, because we can't. We can't. Shadows just arise, right? Just like byproducts do. And what we have to do there, if we want to change the shadow, or if we want to like do something to the shadow, we have to pay attention to the object, and we got to move the object, right? Shadows are not realities. Shadows are like an imprint of reality. So you don't grab a shadow, right? You move the thing. Like, what is that thing called when people try to do that shadow thing with their hands? They make birds and everything, right? They are manipulating their hands, and then the shadow is like a projection, right? That is how we do it. That is how we're going to do with byproducts as well. And so, if we go like mental states are our goals, then mental states are not achieved directly. Okay, take confidence for example, right? Or let's take confidence for example. Confidence is not something that just comes to you. You do particular things for multiple reps, right? For multiple months or maybe years, and then you get confidence in it. Like, you get surety. Okay, I can do this. Confidence doesn't just arise. It's a product. It's a shadow of the actions that you did, and that's what it should be, because that is realistic, right? Then it is achievable. Like, the thing the thing about the thing is this, like, okay, let's look at power as well. Like, if somebody wants power, right, you cannot just think and be stuck in the loop that I'm on power and that is it. You got to be very sure about, like, okay, what actions that I will commit that will arise some kind of power inside of me. You got to define power, what is power inside of you, what kind of power do you want, and then you got to think about the actions you can commit so that you can have some goals, right? Goals that will simply, like, being in a process of trying to get close to those goals is going to bring you back to your byproducts. Okay, so now come the byproducts. Okay, what's going to be our first byproduct? The first byproduct is going to be, drum roll, dooda dee da boom ba bee. It's going to be meaning. My favorite, my favorite topic, man. Meaning is going to be my thing. And what is meaning? A byproduct of. Meaning is a byproduct of responsibility. Okay? It's gonna be the product of responsibility. Now, what does this mean? If you're chasing meaning and we feel like our life is meaningless, right? If we feel like our life is bad, if we feel like our life doesn't have any structure that we really feel inspired enough to follow, we're gonna have a meaningless life. And to follow a pattern, really, right? Like, to follow a narrative pattern that brings a feeling of purpose. It brings like a feeling of, okay, I want to wake up tomorrow morning and I want to do something. Or to be like, I'm really content with what I have or what I have around me, right? To experience, like, I take meaning as like an experience of having control over your life. And how do you have control over your life? By being able to, fulfill your responsibilities. It would be that. It would be, metaphorically speaking, right? Like how Peterson says that it's about carrying a really heavy cross and just walking with that cross, right? Taking that cross, and that is what's gonna be creating meaning in your life. Now, meaning is not gonna be like, you know, meaning is not gonna be meaning is not going to be just coming to you. It's not going to happen that way. It's just not going to happen that, oh, you go somewhere, and even if you keep your body healthy and that is it, that is just not going to give meaning to your life, because that thing is going to be over real quick. That thing's going to be over real quick, because once you achieve a goal, after that you need new things. So it's not about, like, you sit there and be like, okay, I have 5 responsibilities and I'm okay with these 5 responsibilities. Now, the 5 responsibilities can be very difficult to carry, but you got to focus on the process. Like, how does it feel? when you take up something and you hold your ground for that, and you just keep holding your ground for that, right? You keep finding new crosses that you want to carry and be more responsible. Why? So to feel strength into your life, so that you feel can feel excitation in your life. That's going to be like the first beautiful byproduct. And then what is the action that you got to commit? Like, what is a good goal? A good goal would be to take responsibilities. A good goal would be that, like, even if you take it from let me give you guys a very simple informal example. Here is one informal example. You are in a social group, and people who take responsibilities be like, hey, I will do this part, you do that part, I'll do this part, you do that part. Yeah, those people feel a sense of meaning and a feeling, a sense of connectedness with the group. But if you don't bring anything to the table, you don't hold any responsibilities, you're just not going to have any structure to your life, because there are no things that make you want to engage into an action. There just aren't any things. And so what's going to happen? You're not going to experience meaning in your life, right? So meaning is a byproduct. Meaning is not the goal. I mean, it should not be the goal either. I just used permanent marker on my whiteboard. Wow. It's not a whiteboard, it's actually a biracial board. See, it's a whiteboard, it's also a blackboard. I should have used a chalk. But it is what it is, right? We just do things and then we get rid of these problems later. But I really have to, like, I think I would have to be real quick before writing here, or it's gonna be problematic, right? Now, what's gonna be the second thing, right? The second byproduct is gonna be confidence. The second byproduct is going to be confidence. Just wrote it wrong. Just wrote it wrong. This is a mess. This video is a beautiful mess. It's like a Rubik's cube, right? It's a beautiful mess. Confidence. Now, what is confidence a byproduct of? Confidence is a byproduct of competence. So confidence is a product of confidence is a product of competence. Now, what does this mean? What this means is that at first, like, the biofeedback things about confidence, to be like, okay, walk with your shoulders back and then have your chest pumped up and like fake it till you make it, that's just not gonna happen. Okay, that's not gonna build confidence. It might, I mean, I'm not sure about this, but I think it might bring like a temporary sense of confidence, but that confidence is not gonna be worthy, because it's not gonna bring you anything. So a great way to build confidence is, again, right, it's very similar to meaning. It's like you pick up things that you want to do, you put more repetitions in them, just like you do at the gym, right? To build muscle, you put more repetitions into that thing, and then you just build confidence. Confidence just comes. After a while, it's just kind of like, well, I'm not even just confident, I'm just competent. You know what I mean? Like, let's look at it from a hip hop side, right? To gain confidence as an MC, you gotta be great at writing, you gotta be great at skills, right? You gotta be great with your delivery, you gotta be great with your flows, you gotta be very creative, you gotta be great with like double entendres, maybe triple entendres, maybe you're crazy, you put like four entendres, right? And that is what brings confidence. And confidence, again, just like meaning, confidence is also experiencing strength, becoming strong, putting repetitions in, for example, right? Like in the previous byproduct, which was meaning, the idea was to take responsibility and fulfill them. That is how you keep experiencing meaning in life, because you are engaged in a process of taking responsibilities and fulfilling responsibilities. How do you fulfill responsibilities better? Well, by becoming competent. So that's how you sort your things out and you become this confident person who has meaning in life. This is how, like, these two things come together. So if you're seeking confidence and you make confidence to be the goal, that's not going to be a great idea, because it is very vague. It's very vague. Same with meaning, right? I want meaning in my life. It's very vague. You don't think your way into becoming confident, or you don't think your way into having a meaningful life. You work your way into both of those things. You work your way into creating a meaningful life, and you work your way into building your confidence. That's just how it happens, because confidence is not just Confidence is not just believing in yourself no matter what. I think confidence is more like believing that, okay, I can do this thing. How do you believe that you can do that thing? By providing evidence that you can, right? You just do that thing. You do it horribly, you just do it, you just finish that thing, get rid of it, and then you're fine. What happens if you keep hammering it, if you keep putting the repetitions in? A byproduct is going to arise, right? What's going to be the byproduct? The byproduct is going to be confidence. So if you want confidence, go for competence. If you want meaning, go for responsibility. That's how you do it. You know, that's just how you do it. And and यहाँ पे कट है. All right, यहाँ पे कट है. And so what's gonna be the next byproduct? The next byproduct is going to be identity. And this is like one of my favorite topics to talk about because identity is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that is causes like most of our troubles in our life. Think about low self-esteem, right? What is it, right? Attaching identity to something you don't think is worth much. And that's why, we have low self-esteem because we have created identity or subscribed to an identity that is just not good. But the next byproduct is identity, not tt, identity, right? Now what is identity a byproduct of? It is a byproduct of commitment. Wrong spelling, but it is what it is. I'm just way too it's commitment, right? But it's commitment, okay? You people will understand. So here it is. Identity is a byproduct of commitment. Now what does this mean? Okay. Now identity is not that you find your identity. Okay, I mean that I don't think that is the case. I don't think you find your identity. I think you build your identity. It's like one of those things, right? Somebody comes to you and says, it's a very common idea, isn't it? Somebody comes to you and says, be yourself. But then the idea is like, how can I be myself if I don't know myself? And then it's kind of like, okay, how do I know myself? How will I know myself without engaging in action, for example, right? I can't know myself by thinking it out. I got to know myself by behaving. I got to know myself by having meaning in life, which means taking responsibility, have confidence, which means, you know, what was confidence byproduct of? Confidence was byproduct of what was the byproduct? Time. Confidence was byproduct of competence. So it's gonna be that. Confidence is a byproduct of commitment. No, confidence is a byproduct of competence. So what do we do, right? Identity comes out. Somebody goes, "Hey, be yourself, man," but then you don't know yourself. And how will you know yourself? Through committing actions. Again, through committing actions. And that's how you know yourself. Like you put yourself out there and you try to negotiate with the world, being like, okay, this is what I think I should have done, and then I'm trying to like contemplate how should I act in this condition. Then you face that condition, you act it out, and then try to see what is your capacity to act it out. That's how you understand who you are, right? That's how you understand that. So how do you find your identity, right? You just don't. I mean, you build your identity and then you find it and you go like, okay, this is my capacity into the world, this is what I feel, how much will I can exert to the world and feel my strength. And that is how you build your identity. It is through commitment, it is through action, it is through consistent action. That's what you do. Okay, that is how you find your identity. Because like, here's the thing, right? Like, life is very complicated. Life is very, there are infinite things that can be done, there are infinite ways one particular thing can be done. And so when you think too much into how should I act, what is my identity, right? According to my identity, how should I act, blah blah blah, just let go. It's not a work or a purpose of your mind to figure out who you are. because you're giving your mind the wrong data points. You're just sitting and thinking about things, and that's not going to help you to figure out who you are. You got to commit an action. So when you commit an action, you find the limits of your biological self, and then your mind analyzes it and tries to understand, like, okay, this is what it is, and how can we achieve optimization of our limits? How can we extend our limits now? And that is what creates your identity, because when you stay consistent and you interact with the world more and more, and you do it every day, or you do it every week, right, every weekend, maybe whenever you do it, right, but just to stay committed, and just to stay committed, and when you stay committed to an action, or you stay committed to something, and you just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep interacting with the real world, that's how you find your identity. You just can't find your identity by thinking it out, just like you can't find meaning by thinking it out, just like you can't find confidence by thinking it out. There are similarities in these byproducts, and there are similarities in these goals, because have all of these goals have action. They're very action oriented. That's how goals should be. Because there was a research, I think I saw yesterday or day before yesterday, there was a research that people who are action oriented seem to report better mental health than people who engage in rumination. And that seems to make a lot of sense, because people who engage in rumination, I think they are very much focused on byproducts, and they're not focused on the goals. They're not focused on realistic, achievable goals, which will be actions that we commit. Next, what's going to be the next byproduct? What's going to be a next byproduct? And I'm trying to not ruin my biracial board. I think I ruined it a little bit. Oh shit, there is a film on it. See, this is what I realized just now. I did not take out. I did not. The punny was still there, dude. It was wrapped. Oh shit, my biracial board is not destroyed. It's just. Okay, wow. This is beautiful. But my pen is still not working, so whatever, right? I'm gonna keep this one in to show how randomness can occur. I've had this board for like 4 months, and I did not realize it was wrapped. I don't know why I did not realize it was wrapped. Now I'm kind of scared to use this permanent marker on it. Let's give it a shot. Little dot. It's not cleaning. Whiteboard is out. Okay, I'm not gonna destroy my whiteboard for this. Let me see if some shit can be done. Can some shit be done? Yes, it can be done. It can be cleaned this way. Beautiful. Alright. So my whiteboard is destroyed, and we're not gonna have my whiteboard now. Okay. You people would know why my whiteboard is not working here anymore. I'm just gonna bring the black side of my whiteboard out. Yes. The next byproduct. The next byproduct. The next byproduct is gonna be fulfillment. So we want to experience fulfillment. We want to feel full. We want to feel great. We want to be able to like more like trust ourselves. And when we think about fulfillment as a byproduct, what is going to be the thing that gets you the byproduct? What's going to be the goal that gets you the byproduct? And it's weird to say this, but it's going to be sacrifice. Sacrifice is the byproduct of fulfillment. Now, what does this mean? Think about it from the perspective of delayed gratification. Okay, if you can sacrifice your short-term fun for some kind of long-term goal, or some kind of like bigger goal, right, it is then that you can experience some kind of fulfillment, because you would have trust in yourself, be like, hey, I'm a good friend to my future self, and so I feel fulfilled now, man. I feel fulfilled. Fulfillment is a byproduct of sacrifice. It's kind of like fulfillment is like you can imagine like a farm field, and what you do is you wake up in the morning, and you don't want to sow the seeds or do the water or get rid of not pets, but get rid of insects and do so much and wait like 6 months out and everything, and then that thing grows, and then one day you get, you get it out and you cook food with it and you're enjoying it and you feel fulfilled, right? It's a really good, really beautiful emotion to experience, fulfillment. But it comes at the cost of sacrifice. It's a byproduct of sacrifice. We just can't sit and expect fulfillment without sacrificing things. It's just not possible. It's just not. It's just not. And I don't even know which byproduct this is. But like, you know, one of the most beautiful byproducts is gonna be freedom. So we go like, okay, what is like can what is freedom, right? Because if we imagine like having no rules is freedom, that's not what the case is. Having no rules or having no boundaries, that's not freedom. That is just another kind of cage. But freedom is a byproduct of discipline. I think it was Joko Willing who said, who has a book, Freedom Equals Discipline. That is what it is. Freedom is also like responsibility, I think, really. Fulfilling it. Because all of these things kind of fall together. But let's focus on freedom as a byproduct of discipline. Number one, discipline would mean that you do things regardless. Discipline would again mean you stay consistent. Discipline also means that you aim at competence. You will have confidence to be out in the world. You'll be strong. You will have meaning in life, so you are driven, right? And freedom would simply be that, hey, through this meaningful life I experience, through this, competence I experience in myself, when those two things come together, yeah, I'm free. I can pretty much do what I want to do. And those things fulfill me because I'm not scared of sacrifice either. And so, what has happened here, right? Through one thing, through simply, thinking about values and being like, okay, if one value would be to follow goals and not follow byproducts and not confuse goals with byproducts, I'm going to focus on goals. And all the goals have a lot of things in common. A lot, almost all goals are about staying consistent, doing things. And the second part is to be willing to sacrifice for a bigger ideal or delayed gratification, to just simply delay, like, okay, I want to do this thing right now, but I'm not going to do it because I know if I don't do it and I stay, and if I think about like the bigger thing that I can get in the future, which will be way more fulfilling, yeah, a lot of byproducts are going to arise. A lot of them, a lot of byproducts are going to arise. And that's what our game should be. That's what our simple game should be. That's going to be the end of the video, I think. Maybe there are like 5 byproducts. I don't know. I will watch this video, edit it, try to see how many byproducts did I really talk about. This was something new I was trying to do because I was sick of trying to improvise all the time. But what happened was I ended up improvising anyway. I also ruined my biracial board. So I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna go focus on some marker and try to see like if there is no, if like the black side is not wrapped. The black side should be wrapped, right? Because of hip hop. But yeah. So like one thing that can be taken from this video, I think, would be to not focus and confuse byproducts. To not focus and confuse byproducts with goals. Let's not do that. Let's not try to do that because that would make our life very unstable. That's gonna lead us to, having a really bad life. Instead, let's focus on staying consistent. Let's focus on, being willing to sacrifice. Let's stay, let's focus on things that can get us those byproducts and still be focused on those things, just to be engaged in action, just so that the action itself becomes restoring, the action itself becomes beautiful, something that you just want to do because the byproducts are there and you get the byproducts. But just try not to chase byproducts. It's not gonna be a great idea. Bye.